that's part of our message is you don't know what, God's dream for your life is bigger than your own. And that's what I've seen. I mean, I never dreamed 13 years ago that I'd be sitting here with you, or we'd be in the arena where I used to watch the Rockets play. And so
When disaster struck, he closed the doors. When people cried for help, he stayed silent. And while the world watched in disbelief, he smiled for the cameras. This isn't just another megachurch scandal, it's a reckoning. Joel Osteen, once praised as the smiling preacher of hope, is now facing a tidal wave of controversy. From million-dollar mansions to federal loans, from packed arenas to empty charity records, things aren't looking good. What happened behind the scenes? What does it mean for the future of faith in America? Stick around, because the truth hits hard. Joel Osteen never set out to be a preacher. Born on March 5, 1963, in Houston, Texas, he was raised in a household where church, faith, and family were everything. His father, John Osteen, had already left the Southern Baptist tradition by then, shifting toward charismatic Christianity after Lisa, Joel's sister, was born with severe disabilities in 1958. That life-changing event led John and his wife Dodie to dive deeper into faith healing. Just a year later, they founded Lakewood Church, transforming a modest feed store with 234 seats into a new kind of church. While his siblings were preaching and serving, Joel chose to stay out of the spotlight. He pursued radio and television at Oral Roberts University, but dropped out after less than a year. He wasn't after a degree. He wanted to build something with his father. At just 19 years old, he launched Lakewood's TV ministry. He started with one local channel and one national network. For the next 17 years, Joel worked behind the scenes, producing, editing, directing, and even tracking which suits his father wore on Sundays. Though he had no formal theological education, he learned by editing hundreds of sermons. Still, he avoided preaching. Every time his father asked him to take the pulpit, Joel would reply, "You're the preacher. I'll make you look good on TV." Then everything changed in January 1999. On the 17th, Joel preached his very first sermon. 6 days later, John Osteen died of a heart attack. Suddenly, Joel was thrust into leadership, taking over a church with 6,000 members. He didn't feel ready. He had no experience. Many doubted him, but something clicked. By 2004, Lakewood Church was drawing more than 30,000 attendees every week, making it the largest church in America. And that success didn't happen by accident. Joel Osteen doubled the church's television airtime budget, bought billboard space on highways, and made sure his message reached far beyond the walls of his church. His sermons were simple and uplifting, focused on dreams, hope, and trusting God's plan. There was no mention of hell, sin, or judgment. Critics labeled it Christianity light, but his audience loved it. He gave them comfort and told them they weren't broken, that better days were coming. In 2003, Lakewood made a historic move by leasing the Compaq Center, the former home of the Houston Rockets. It wasn't just a church, it was a 16,000-seat sports arena. The 30-year lease cost $12 million, with an option to extend for $22 million. But the real shock came from the $95 million renovation, which added 5 floors, waterfalls, classrooms, studios, and miles of carpet. By July 16, 2005, the grand reopening drew 16,000 in-person attendees and millions more via broadcast. Lakewood Church had officially transformed into a global religious powerhouse. Then came the books. In 2004, Joel published Your Best Life Now. Despite being a first-time author and pastor, the book sold over 500,000 copies in just 3 months. By 2005, it had passed 1 million. It stayed on the New York Times bestseller list for over 200 weeks and sold more than 4 million copies worldwide. That book didn't just change his life, It redefined how Christian books were written and marketed. Joel Osteen didn't stop there. He released over 15 books, 7 of them New York Times bestsellers. His 2005 book, Become a Better You, earned him $13 million in royalties and advances. His live events, including the famous Night of Hope Stadium tour, brought in tens of thousands. Tickets often cost $15. On March 11, 2013, over 20,000 people packed the American Airlines Arena in Miami to hear him speak. By 2019, he had filled Wembley Arena in London. By 2017, Lakewood's media budget reached $25 million annually. The church pulled in $90 million a year, and Joel's personal brand earned around $55 million annually. He didn't take a salary from the church since 2004, but earned big through books, merchandise, and speaking gigs. He lived in a $10.5 million mansion and owned another $3 million home. But behind the scenes, criticism mounted. During the COVID-19 pandemic, Lakewood accepted a $4.4 million loan from the Federal Paycheck Protection Program, despite its massive budget. Public outrage forced them to return the money. The damage was done. Then came Hurricane Harvey in 2017. With much of Houston underwater, Lakewood Church, bone dry and fully operational, remained closed. In 2024, tragedy struck Lakewood Church when Janice Yvonne Moreno, a woman suffering from schizophrenia, entered the church with an AR-15 and opened fire. She claimed to have a bomb and brought her 7-year-old son, Samuel, who was critically injured. Despite off-duty police being present, Moreno managed to enter with rifles and a bag full of weapons, raising serious concerns about church security and mental health protocols. Lakewood Church, led by Joel and Victoria Osteen, has long been surrounded by controversy. When Hurricane Harvey hit, the church initially delayed opening its doors, sparking global backlash under the hashtag #OpenLakewoodChurch. Although the church eventually responded, criticism lingered. Financial transparency became another point of contention. Of Lakewood's $90 million annual budget, only 1.3%, around $1.2 million, went toward missions and outreach. The rest largely funded media, salaries, and events, leading some to question whether the church prioritized business over ministry. Theologically, Joel Osteen has been accused of promoting a cotton candy gospel, uplifting but lacking depth. Critics argue his sermons avoid essential Christian themes like sin, repentance, and the cross. Theologians such as Michael Horton have even labeled it heresy. Despite all this, the Osteen family remains central to Lakewood's identity. Victoria is a best-selling author, and their children, Jonathan and Alexandra, are actively involved in the church's youth and music ministries. The Osteen legacy continues to shine, but beneath the surface, questions linger. Is this a beacon of modern faith, or a well-crafted empire of image and influence? As the lines between ministry and media blur, only time will tell. If this story made you think, like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into the people shaping our world. Thanks for watching.